Hello guys, hope you're doing well as always and welcome back to another video. Today we are back in the studio. There's no vlog today. Instead we're going to be checking out my Premier League predictions and reacting to them to see how well I did. And with the way that this season has gone, I'm expecting some clangers. As always though, ladies and gents, if you are new here, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button and comment down below how well you guys did with your predictions, what you think of mine, and hit that notification bell if you enjoy these videos so you never miss another upload. But without further ado, let's take a look at what I had to say 9 months ago and get into my predictions. Starting off with 19th place, I've gone brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, I'm not even gonna touch my actual prediction. I start the video off with the wrong number. Sick. Great stuff. Anyway, I went with Bournemouth in 20th place, and a lot of pundits, by the way, had Bournemouth to go down in a similar position. Barely invested at all in the summer, and earlier in the year, I actually went to Bournemouth to watch them in the FA Cup against Burnley, and they looked poor. They looked down and out, and I remember thinking at the time, they are gone. But in reality, they ended up finishing 5 points clear of the relegation places, safe from relegation, so straight away, we're off to a bad start. And my player to watch for Bournemouth this season is going to be Dominic Solanke. Okay, as far as players to watch go, I can see why I picked him. In 33 Premier League matches this season, Dominic Solanke netted 6 goals, assisting 7, which I suppose is not a bad return, but when you look at the goal tally, 6 goals, as a striker, you want to be scoring more. And Jefferson Lerma was the player that ended up picking up the Player of the Season award, so another one that I hold my hands up, say I got wrong. There are plenty more where that came from, I can be sure of that. Up next in 19th place, I've gone with Nottingham Forest. Okay, Nottingham Forest to finish in 19th place. Now, this is a team, again, I think that a lot of people had to go down. And it makes sense. They invested a heavy amount, and it's one of those ones where it's a gamble. If it pays off, great. But ultimately, you're chucking a group of new players together and expecting them to stay up. They ended up finishing the season 4 points clear of relegation, 1 point behind Bournemouth. And despite being involved in a relegation battle for the majority of the season, they just about managed to escape. So that's another one that I've got wrong. Let's see who my player of the season was. Player to watch, wasn't it? Same thing. My player to watch for Nottingham Forest is going to be Jesse Lingard as well. Excruciating watch. Not ideal, if I'm being perfectly honest. He was a marquee signing, and after impressing at West Ham, he hasn't exactly taken the Premier League by storm in the same way that he did for West Ham. In fact, in 17 Premier League appearances, he notched up 0 goals and 0 assists. I have had a stinker with this one, ladies and gents. It's been a season of injury struggles, and he's really struggled to get consistent game time for Nottingham Forest, and ultimately, whilst there was a lot of hype at the beginning of the season, he's not lived up to it. Moving on now to 18th place to see who I picked. 18th place now, and probably the first shock of the video. I've gone for Everton to go. Oh, do you know what, ladies and gents? I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I predicted them to finish in 18th place. They finished in 17th. Narrowly on the final game of the season staying up. But all in all, that's not a bad pick. And I'm intrigued to see who I went for player of the season. It's probably going to be Calvert-Lewin. Jordan Pickford is my player to watch. Okay. Do you know what? It kind of makes sense because this was obviously not long after the Euros. His heroics for England. I see why I've picked him. He has been good for Everton. As good as you can be with the 10 players in front of you. According to a poll on the BBC, the most popular player for Everton's player of the season this season by a landslide is Jordan Pickford. So give myself a pat on the back for that. I'm a happy bunny. More of that will be appreciated, please. Up next in 17th place, I am going for Fulham to beat the drop. Shit! That was a bad shout. That was a bad shout. Hey, listen, I'm going to be doing this a lot, but I hold my hands up. Fulham in 17th place, a whole 7 positions wrong. That's not ideal. I mean, at the moment, this is not making for pretty reading. And I've hit the mic. Brilliant. What a day. I mean, Fulham were just one of the pleasant shocks of the season in terms of where they finished, outdoing my team Chelsea, their local rivals. Why do I even bother? All jokes aside, credit to Fulham. Brilliant season for you guys. Did a decent cup run as well in the FA Cup and massively outdid my predictions. I'm intrigued to see who I've gone for the player of the season. I mean, I can say this with chest. It is definitely going to be Alexander Mitrovic. But let's see if I try to be edgy because I'm a cool Indian edgy guy. Realistically, I'm just a virgin. My player to watch for Fulham this season is unsurprisingly Alexander Mitrovic. Well, there you go. There you go. To be fair, 14 goals and 1 assist in 24 Premier League games. Not bad at all. In 16th place, I have gone for Brentford. Fuck's sake! I should not be allowed on this app. People talk about white men having podcasts. Stop B-Tech YouTube football pundits from making their Premier League table predictions, because it hurts me. I dread to think of you guys watching this, if anyone's watching. Love that as a joke. Brentford finished in 9th place, 1 place above Fulham. Another prediction where I'm 7 places out. It's going to be a long video. We're only 5 teams in. We're only a quarter of the way in, and so far it's not been good. Fair play to Brentford, by the way. They have been another one of those surprise teams this season. Started the season fantastically against Man United, finished it in style against the other half of Manchester, and all in all, it's been a very memorable season. Unlucky, by the way, to miss out on European competitions. My player to watch for Brentford for this season is going to be Ivan Toney. Okay, safe bet. Not much of a gamble. See what I did there? No, but all jokes aside, it's always worth taking a punt when it comes to Toney. Am I right, Ivan? I'll get on with the video. 20 Premier League goals in 30 games this season. Obviously, the gambling allegations aside, it's been a very strong season for Ivan Toney, and he's going to be a big miss for Brentford next season when his suspension kicks in. But all in all, it's been a solid campaign for Ivan Toney. Credit to him, credit to Brentford. You've absolutely mugged me off. Oh, embarrassing. Got an ad. That's another 20p.
IBS relief.
Incredible. That's who we've got sponsoring these videos. I'll take the 3p. If that, probably a third of a penny. 15th place now, I have gone with Southampton. And from one L to another, ladies and gentlemen. Southampton obviously were the first team to get relegated this season, bottom the Premier League table, 5 places out. I don't know why I was confident for them to stay up, because they've been shit for a while. A forgettable season for the Saints, and I'm sure you guys will bounce back next season. Ultimately, it's just been a mess in terms of the managers that you've brought in. If you can keep hold of James Ward-Prowse, it will be incredible, but maybe if he stays, he can help guide you guys straight back up to the Premier League, and that would be a great story in itself. But let's see who my player to watch for the season was. My player to watch for Southampton this season is going to be Adam Armstrong. Just pick James Ward-Prowse. Just play it safe. Adam Armstrong. What a shit shout. In 23 games last season, he only managed to get 2 goals and 3 assists. Why have I picked him then? Talk about consistency though. 2 seasons, both 2 goals. Fair play to the lad. In 14th place, I have gone for Leeds United. Leeds. When they beat Chelsea, they were 3rd in the league. Check out that vlog, by the way, because even though that Chelsea got smacked, as they did for the majority of the season, it is one of the best days of my life, just because my dad, who's a Leeds fan, had such a great time, and the atmosphere was incredible. Genuinely the best I've ever seen, and I'm gutted that Leeds have gone down. It's a real shame. They made it hard for themselves. They created a hell of a lot of chances this season, but just couldn't be clinical. A series of injuries didn't help, and they do find themselves in the Championship. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not they can bring it back. You'd like to think that with the young talent that they've got, and if they can keep hold of some of those key players, that they can, but ultimately another shit prediction. Let's see who my player to watch for the season is. Probably gonna be something stupid, isn't it? My player to watch for Leeds this season is Joe Gelhardt. Yeah, he got loaned out to Sunderland and did jack shit there. Not great. I don't even want to look at Leeds player of the season. I don't even think that they have a player of the season. Let's just move on. Up next, we've got 13th place, and I am going to go with Brighton and Hove Albion. Do you know what the thing is, right? I'm thinking about this, and I'm going to cut myself a little bit of slack, because it has been a weird Premier League season. You've had great teams who have bottled it and have just had terrible seasons, and you've also had a lot of teams that you wouldn't necessarily expect to finish high up the table, but that's a beauty of the Premier League, and Brighton epitomise that. 6th place and a Europa League spot guaranteed for next season is incredible for Brighton. The first time in the club's history that they've qualified for any form of European competition, and they've got such an impressive squad. The fact that they've managed to replace the likes of Graham Potter, who put them in such a strong position to start with, and then replace them with the new manager Zerbi, who has just taken them to new levels, just speaks volumes of the club that Brighton are and the recruitment that they've got in place. They're a very smart football club and deserve to be where they are at the end of the season. So credit to you guys, and you have, much like a lot of the teams in this predictions video, mugged me off. My player to watch for Brighton this season is Neil Maupay. Understandable. Yet he's got 1 goal in 27 Premier League appearances. If there's one thing that we've learned from this video, is I've got 0 ball knowledge. Up next in 12th place now, I've gone for Crystal Palace. Ooh! Ooh, okay. Crystal Palace finished in 11th place. I'm a happy bunny. Crystal Palace is such a weird team because they will look so flat, but they always seem to work a way into that mid-table spot. Thanks to Tommy, I've been able to go and see quite a bit of Crystal Palace this season, and under Vieira, they didn't look great, but Roy Hodgson has absolutely worked wonders there, and credit to him, credit to the Palace lot. I think there's a great core of players there, which is why they finished where they are, but Roy Hodgson deserves a lot of credit for that. Let's see who I went for my player of the season, and if there's one thing that's for certain, it's not going to be Zaha. Now my player to watch for Crystal Palace next season is Odsonne Edouard. Okay, once again, I've had another stinker. I saw him score a header against Leeds, and to be honest, that's pretty much all he's done this season. 5 goals and 2 assists for Crystal Palace in 35 appearances is not great, and it underpins Crystal Palace's main flaw in their team, which is the lack of a decent quality centre forward. But if one thing's for certain, Edouard, while he may have been my player to watch at the beginning of the season, just proves you should not listen to me, do your own research, because just not doing well. Now moving further into the mid-table, we have gone for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now my Uncle Jeff, who is a Wolves fan, messaged me around the time of this, saying that he was surprised to see me predicting Wolves so high up. And if I'm being completely honest, so am I in hindsight. Wolves were another team that earlier in the season looked down and out and destined for the championship, but they managed to turn their season around, earning themselves 41 points. I think they probably need a bit of investment if they want to stay up next season, because even though that they finished so high up the table, a few more bad results and they would be right down there in the relegation places. But let's see who I went for my player of the season. Now my player to watch for Wolves this season is going to be Adama Traore. I don't know why I'm actually bothering. 34 games, 2 goals, 1 assist. The less said about him, the better, to be honest. Moving into the top 10 now, I've gone for Newcastle. Newcastle's an interesting one because after last season, I don't think anyone would predict the heights that they hit this season. Top 4 Champions League guaranteed for the first time in 20 years is an incredible achievement. Unlucky not to pick up a point when I watched them away to Liverpool, and the job that Eddie Howe has done in such a short space of time, from looking down and out when he took over to gaining top 4 in about 16 months, is just ridiculous. It's unprecedented. Newcastle, for once, are looking like a very well-run club, and the fans are getting what they deserve for their passion and love for the club. Now, my player to watch for Newcastle this season is Bruno Guimaraes. Decent. I like that. Do you know what? I like that a lot. I think we all know the quality that this man possesses, so I'm not going to talk about him too much. But for me, he's been a staple piece in this rebuild of Newcastle. A very smart signing. Not a lot of people have really heard of him when he came in, yet he's turned into one of the best central midfielders in the league. 4 goals and 5 assists in 32 appearances this season. A great season for him, and as I say, it epitomises the season that Newcastle's had. So credit to you guys, and I hope that you have a fantastic Champions League next season. Hopefully, I can make it to one of those games. Up next in 9th place, I've gone for Leicester City. Shit! Why have I done that? They're shit! The side that stole the hearts of a nation to win the league a few seasons ago will be playing Championship football next season, and I felt in my gut that Leicester were not going to have a good season, but at no point did I think that they get relegated. It's been a poor season for them. I'm sorry for the fans because I think they've got a great fan base. I think they're going to struggle to keep hold of more of those key players, so the recruitment is going to be key in the summer if they want to come back up into the Premier League. Now my player to watch for Leicester this season is Jamie Vardy. This man just ages like a fine wine. Oh, I knew that I was going to say something like that after, because that's just such a me thing to say. I'm such a knob and I'm so predictable. 3 goals and 4 assists in 37 matches is nowhere near good enough for a player that we're used to seeing tear the net to shreds season after season. This is the first time since the 2014-15 season that Jamie Vardy has not hit double figures, and maybe it's a sign that he's getting too old, or maybe it's just a reflection of what's going on at Leicester at the moment, but it's not been a great season for him and not good for my Premier League predictions either. Up next in 8th place, I've gone for West Ham United. Well, these were one of the teams that I mentioned earlier that you just wouldn't expect to be as low in the table as they ended up being. Involved in a relegation scrap for a large part of the season, West Ham finished the season in 14th place. They've got themselves into a Europa Conference League final, which I hope that they win. And there is an impressive core to their squad, which makes their struggles really, really surprising. You start to wonder if maybe there's questioning of the manager's authority, if something behind the scenes has gone on, but for whatever reason, West Ham didn't have the season that they necessarily intended to. Maybe next season they'll look a bit better, but based on what I've seen from them, they look fairly toothless. But the player that I want to focus on the most is Gianluca Scamacca. 16 games, 3 goals, and an injury-torrid season season for Scamacca, and it's a shame that we weren't able to see the best of him properly this season. Perhaps we'll get a better opportunity to do so next season, but based off this for a player to watch, I see why I went for it. It's backfired. Not happy. Up next in 7th place, I've gone for Aston Villa. Bang! Right, ladies and gents, we've got our first one right, and I am giddy, especially because they started the season horrendously. So to finish where they did at the end of the season under Unai Emery, credit to them. Brilliant season, and Europa Conference League next season for Villa is going to be massive. That's wicked. But I'm gassed. That's my first one that I've got right. Kuching. It's only downhill from here, so that's going to be great. Boubacar Kamara, I think, is one of the signings of the summer, and consequently, he is my player to watch. Okay. To be fair, I'd go as far to say that Kamara is probably one of the signings of the season. I think he's been a revelation for Aston Villa this season, especially under Unai Emery. After damaging his knee ligaments against Southampton earlier in the season, it was feared that Boubacar Kamara would be out for the rest of the season, but he's managed to make a return for the back end of the season, and I think he was fantastic for them. I'm happy with that. Another pat on the back for myself. Good stuff, and on with the predictions. Up next in 6th place, I've gone for Manchester United. Okay. So, I underestimated Man United here, and I can understand why, because there's been a lot of managerial changes for Manchester United that haven't hit the ground running. Erik ten Hag, however, has done a good job with Manchester United this season. A lot of people are singing his praises, in my opinion, a little too much. With all things considered, you'd expect Manchester United to finish in the top 4, which I appreciate is something that has been something of a non-guarantee, really, in the last 10 years or so since Sir Alex Ferguson. Manchester United are a weird one because you don't know what you're going to get. And clearly I didn't know what they were going to get either, because they finished 3 places higher than what I predicted for them. 3rd place and an EFL Cup, I think, is a good season for Manchester United. And they've outdone my prediction. Let's see who my player to watch for the season was. Player to watch for Manchester United this season is Cristiano Ronaldo. Oh, for fuck's sake. Do you know what? I had a sneaky suspicion that I put Ronaldo in there, and probably the worst option I could have picked. He would have been the player to watch if he was played, which he ended up not being, and he got shipped off to Saudi Arabia. So, not ideal. Up next in 5th place, narrowly missing out on Champions League football, I have gone with Arsenal. I was waiting for Arsenal because I knew I didn't have them that high. It's been a great season for Arsenal, and if I could pick a winner between Manchester City and Arsenal of who I would prefer to win the league, even as a Chelsea fan, I would prefer Arsenal, purely because they haven't won it for ages. Man City have won it so many times, and you want the league to be competitive, which it was. Arsenal put up a great fight, but they just fell short, and in true Arsenal fashion, they ended up bottling it. I saw a great stat that out of the 5 teams who have been at the top of the table for the longest amount of time without winning it, 3 of those teams were Arsenal, the other 2 were Liverpool. Says all you need to know. But regardless, it's been a memorable season for Arsenal, and a lot of people would say it's for nothing, but it's not. This Arsenal side have injected hope into a fan base that have been devoid of that for years, and as annoying as it's been to see, it's also been quite nice, a little bit nice. They played some brilliant stuff. I went to go and see Arsenal versus Everton earlier in the season, and they played some incredible football, albeit against a relegation candidate, but some of the football that they were playing was exceptional. Another slightly obvious choice, but I've gone with Gabriel Jesus as the player to watch for Arsenal. A good shout, I'd say. The injury earlier in the season obviously didn't help, but with that being said, his impact when he was in the team was fantastic, and he was crucial, especially in the early stages, for Arsenal's domination and rise to the top of the table. And 11 goals and 6 assists in 26 games underpins his crucial role that he's played in this team, and also his ability to provide. I think his link-up play was fantastic this season. So well done, Jesus. Well done, Arsenal, and commiserations on missing out on the title. That's the only time you're going to hear me say that. And in 4th place, I've gone with Tottenham. Another team that have had a torrid season. Managerial mishaps. They've been through 3. They sacked their caretaker manager. You can't get more mudded than that. And I know Frank Lampard's lucky to be in the job, but he's still there, so ratio. But Tottenham did finish in 8th place. It's the first time in over 10 years that they haven't qualified for any European competition, and it's just not been a good season. I think they've got a good core to their squad, and if they can get a good manager in, there's no reason why they can't push further up the table, but the clock is ticking on Harry Kane's future at the club. It's almost as though they don't want him there, and they are doing everything that they can to just say, there is no point you being here. I probably picked him as my player to watch, didn't I? Now, my player to watch for Tottenham is Harry Kane. I'm actually, like, unbelievable. I mean, I know I said this, but like, good prediction from me in a reaction to my predictions. Predictionception. I need to touch grass and speak to women. Now, this is arguably Harry Kane's best Premier League season as an individual player. 30 goals and 3 assists in 38 games. He's played every single game. And if it wasn't for Erling Haaland, he would be the player of the season and have another golden boot to add to his collection by some distance, by the way. It's been a great individual season for Harry Kane, but like I say, the clock is ticking on his future, and it feels like there's only a matter of time before he departs. As a man who loves all things romance, I would love to see Harry Kane stick around, stay as a one-club man, but if he moves, who can blame him? Up next in third place, I have gone with Chelsea. I was waiting for this. As the video went on and on and on, I was waiting to see where I predicted Chelsea to finish, and to be fair, considering the signings that we made, I think that a lot of biased Chelsea fans would have potentially put us to win the league. But using my brain, I knew we wouldn't. Didn't think we'd finish 12th. That's rough. Such a mess, especially in the last few games of the season. I think the players' minds are elsewhere, and I really hope that Mauricio Pochettino can knock some sense into these players and get some consistency going forward. 38 goals in as many Premier League games. I've not seen anything like this in my life before as a Chelsea fan. We finished the season on a -9 goal difference. I can't be arsed. And I know that there'll be a lot of fans watching this who support, with all due respect, lower teams than Chelsea, thinking, welcome to our world, or you think you've got it bad. Well, I wasn't expecting to finish here. Let's just move on. See which player I picked as the player to watch, and then I'm going to roast them when I say Kai Havertz or something stupid like that. I have a feeling I'm going to say Koulibaly. If I say Koulibaly, I'm done. As for my player to watch this season, I have gone for Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling, to be fair, has not been terrible. He's not been great. Hear me out. Chelsea are a steaming pile of shit. He is one of those flies that's done a bit more. I don't know what that analogy was. That was terrible. But the point that I'm trying to make is no one has looked great in this Chelsea team. There is not one player. Okay, there's maybe a couple. There's like 2 players that have performed relatively well. 6 goals and 3 assists in 28 Premier League games, considering the season that we've had, is okay. I mean, it's not, but it's okay, all things considered. Now, the top 2 are to be expected. Is Liverpool and is Manchester City. I'm just going to pause it there, by the way, because I completely forgot about Liverpool, and I know why I've put them in there, because they've dominated, but this season, they have not. Let's just see who I picked to win. Who is going to win the league this year? I've gone with Manchester City. Well, I didn't really build up much suspense there, did I? I've got another one right, ladies and gents. Ka-ching. It is Manchester City. I don't think I can really cheer for that, because based on the signings that they made at the beginning of the season, that was always going to happen, and fair play, Man City. Liverpool, on the other hand, have had a torrid season, but somehow managed to worm their way into the top 5. 5th place and only 4 points off top 4 is a miracle. They were sort of on par with Chelsea for a lot of the season, and Chelsea kept going. Liverpool actually managed to rebound a little bit and salvage their season to some extent, and it'll be interesting to see how they do in the Europa League next year, because you'd expect them to win it, but it's been a largely poor showing for them in the Premier League this season. Let's see who I chose for the players to watch for both sides this season. Then we're going to move into my Player of the Year awards. There is no better goal scorer in the world right now than Erling Haaland, and he's just going to be absolutely disgusting. In fact, that is exactly why I picked him to be my player to watch. There you go. Hardly creative, and as I mentioned when talking about Harry Kane, he makes everybody else around him look amateur. He's insane. 35 matches, 36 goals. He is a special talent. Everybody has got him in their fantasy football team. Everybody has captained him for the majority of the season. And at the end of the day, it's no surprise that Manchester City won the league when he's in that form. As for my player to watch this season for Liverpool, I've gone obviously with Mohamed Salah. Interesting. Mo Salah, by the way, 38 games, 19 goals, 12 assists. Genuinely insane numbers. That's ridiculous, and I feel like he's been fairly unsung because of the likes of Erling Haaland once again, and because Liverpool haven't been challenging really for the usual spots that they're used to. But without doubt, it's an exceptional season by anyone's standards, especially Mo Salah, and it just proves how integral he is to Liverpool despite the poor season that they've had. Now, ladies and gents, we are going to get into my Player of the Year awards. Let's see who I thought was going to be the goalkeeper of the season, top goal scorer, player of the season, and young player of the season. For the young player of the year, I'm going to go with Bukayo Saka. Ka-ching! Really need to stop doing that. Bukayo Saka, I'm not going to lie, is probably the only quality shout that I've had this video. You saw from my predictions that I didn't expect Arsenal to finish as high in the league as they ended up doing so, but Bukayo Saka is one of the hottest prospects in football at the moment, and I think he's nailed on to win this award, and rightfully so. After the criticism and the abuse that he's had in the last few years, I don't think that there are many people that aren't happy to see Saka doing as well as he has done this season. 38 games, 14 goals, 11 assists. Hats off to you, Bukayo. You've absolutely smashed it. Integral in Arsenal's title charge, and it'll be interesting to see if he can hit those heights next season. Next up, the Golden Glove. I think it is going to go to Ederson this year. Ederson finished sixth in the clean sheets list. He only had 2 more clean sheets than Kepa Arrizabalaga, which is nuts. This season, that award has gone to David De Gea, which might surprise a lot of people, but it's also a reflection on Manchester United's defensive prowess, especially at home. 17 clean sheets for David De Gea. Fair play. I got this one wrong. Next up, the top goal scorer. I think this one is pretty obvious. I'm going to go with Erling Haaland. I'm gassed. I mean, I shouldn't really be gassed. It's probably the most obvious one on there. I've spoken a lot about Haaland already. There's not much else for me to add, but just reiterate what a fantastic season he's had. It'll be interesting to see if he can even exceed that next season. PFA Player of the Year, and this one I think is going to go to De Bruyne. I think if anyone's going to win this award, it's going to be Haaland. It's just been a ridiculous season for him. As I just said, I've spoken enough about the man. He is a generational talent. So, ladies and gents, this is the final Premier League table. This is how I've done, and it's not great, is it? I've had some absolute stinkers. Chelsea, obviously, but I think that that's going to be the case for a lot of people. Bournemouth and Forest proved me wrong. Fulham and Brentford are laughing. Let me know what you think of my predictions in the comments, guys, and that does bring us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, as always. I will be back relatively soon. There's going to be some sporadic videos across the summer, but I'm working very, very hard to get some more regular videos coming out next season. I said it in my last vlog. It's going to be mental. So subscribe, ladies and gents, if you are new here, if you're interested in seeing some more football content. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Take care. Peace and love.